Hello and good morning. It's 8 a.m. here in New Delhi and I'm Charu Shankar.
I'm Satya. You're watching WION Breakfast, but before moving forward with the show, here are the heads up this morning.
Three Indian soldiers killed by Pakistan. One of them mutilated near the line of control.
The Indian Prime Minister calls for public opinion on demonetization on his app. The opposition kicks up a storms and says, why is the PM making public appeals without responding in Parliament?
Will Conservatives hail in Europe too? Sarkozy is out of the presidential race and Merkel says she will fight for the fourth term.
When asked about his business, US President-elect Donald Trump says the law is totally on his side and that the president cannot have a conflict of interest.
Over 19 people killed in a clash between Yemen government and Houthi rebels. To begin your morning today, let's take you across to the remote village of Molinong in northeastern India, where visitors throw rubbish in bamboo bins and roads are spotless and there is virtually no plastic. It is called Asia's cleanest village and is a stark contrast to the rest of the country.
They call it Asia's cleanest village. The message is clear in Molinong, northeast India. Littering is forbidden.
Grandmother, grandfather and father taught us how to clean the village and our surroundings because it's healthy for us.
An historic attachment to cleanliness, stretching back perhaps to the end of the 19th century when the plague killed millions across India. At the time, Christian missionaries here taught villagers about basic hygiene, the legacy of which lives on today. In 2003, it was nicknamed Asia's cleanest village by a journalist, and over time, Molinong has become a tourist attraction in itself.
I never expect that the village will become this way. I don't expect that people from outside will come so many like it is now, sir. Yeah, it is all unexpected.
Rishod's village stands in stark contrast with much of India, which struggles daily with pollution and waste. However, some fear the influx of tourists may destroy the once tight-knit community.
What have we done here? That social bonding which binds the village together is getting disintegrated, which is not fair. There is no more privacy. A woman is washing her clothes, she's being photographed.
Change may indeed be afoot, but whatever happens, this village's zero tolerance towards litter is at the very least an example for the rest of the country to follow.
Satya, Molinong is in Meghalaya and I've had the good fortune of being there. And it really is an incredible place to visit because everybody there, from the smallest child, is so aware of hygiene and cleanliness. It's really amazing.
Well, I think metropolitan cities can take a leaf out of that tree, right?
Definitely.
Moving on, we take you to Bangladesh, where residents of Qutb Dia Island are losing their homes to the rising sea levels in what is one of the world's flattest and poorest nations. The sea provides a living but can also wreck lives. A quarter of Qutb Dia Island in South Bangladesh is already underwater, and one NGO warns it might be entirely submerged in 50 years. Here's a report.
The sea provides a living but can also wreck lives. A quarter of Qutb Dia Island in South Bangladesh is already underwater, and one NGO warns it might be entirely submerged in 50 years. This woman's house was completely destroyed a few months ago.
I have to come back and rebuild here again because I don't have any money or land elsewhere. Where else would I go with my children?
Over 100,000 people live here, but sea levels are rising at an alarming rate, fueled by climate change.
We built our hut beside the sea walls a while ago, but every time the tidal waves hit, we have to evacuate because it gets flooded. It's very exhausting.
Some have decided to leave for good. 40,000 former residents relocated to a slum on the mainland. Most of the people in this cafe are from Qutub Dia. The owner himself fled the island in 2012.
We used to have many mosques, schools, madrasas and houses in our village. All of that has been completely submerged.
Far from home, they try to scrape a living through boat building and fishing. With 39 million people living on Bangladesh's coastline, the government is also facing a daunting challenge.
There are shelter homes, shelter buildings in the coastal areas. They can be evacuated. So that type of things we take up. But if it is in the mass scale, it will be difficult to accommodate so many people over there.
Those who can afford it relocate to the bigger cities, but the poorest have no option. Cram into slums or stay on their island, even if it's at risk of disappearing.
Charu, now this brings me to an interesting story. Well, I was in Assam some time ago, and on the river Brahmaputra there are these islands, and you know, most of the residents over there are from Bangladesh. They're immigrants from Bangladesh, and it's a very uncanny coincidence that those islands are also shrinking, because the sea, every time it hits the islands, it kind of washes away part of it. So the sea seems to have its own fury.
Yes, it certainly does. Well, moving on to the world of music. Collectors and music fans wearing the t-shirts of obscure rock bands braved the tropical heat outside a record store near Malaysia's capital, waiting to get their hands on new cassette tapes. Nope, this is not a flashback to the 1980s, but an event marking recent International Cassette Store Day, an annual celebration of a music format once thought headed for extinction, but now enjoying a rebirth. Here's a report.
Remember these? They are back. Mohammad Razzi Jasni runs a popular music store in the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur. Cassettes are his best sellers, trumping CDs and vinyl, which are too expensive for many Southeast Asian bands to produce. And that's not the only reason.
There's this chic factor attached to it, you know, that kind of thing. So cassette has that, you know, and it's kind of cool actually, you know, to own a cassette, you know. The days of like mixtapes and Walkman and stuff like that.
For tape fans, there's even an International Cassette Store Day. And cheap manufacturing costs, as little as $1 per cassette, are helping to fuel the revival in the region.
It's very affordable for you, for the guys releasing it, and also for the fans buying the cassette.
Even though getting music online has become the norm these days, analog formats have been getting popular. Some call it a hipster fad, but cassettes are proving to be a crucial lifeline for the underground music scene.
People don't know your band, so first you release on cassette. So like 100 pieces, 150 pieces for the beginning, you know. So when people know, and then next time you can make vinyl if you have money, you know.
Malaysian indie band Bittersweet is one of many bands in the region to issue its latest release only on cassette.
It is an advantage for the band itself to release a cassette, especially on the Cassette Store Day, because besides creating lots more in their discography, cassette is one of the things that people will come out and go get it because of the because it's a rare item, it's a collectible item.
The cheap tapes are helping to spread the music around Malaysia and its neighbours, making it unlikely that anyone will hit the pause button anytime soon.
Well, Satya, I think it's time for me to take out my old cassette player and get it back in working condition.
Yes, absolutely. With that, we slip into a very quick break. Stay tuned for more on WION Breakfast. Welcome back. You're with us on WION Breakfast. If the latest apocalyptic climate change projections come true, with sea levels rising upwards of 28 inches by 2050, Wall Street and Ellis Island could be swallowed up. We looked at the effects of global warming worldwide and ways to mitigate them. The coastal city of New York faces sea level rises of up to 6 feet by 2100. Here's a report.
Just across the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco, a massive rescue operation is taking place at the Marine Mammal Center. More than 200 California sea lions and elephant seal pups are being nursed back to health by veterinarians, aided by an army of 1,200 volunteers. For more than 40 years, the center has been rescuing and rehabilitating marine mammals of all kinds, recovered from 600 miles of the Northern California coast. This year has seen a 4-fold increase in California sea lion standings due to rising ocean temperatures and El Niño conditions.
Because of those temperature changes, we see that the animals' primary prey sources have gone to deeper, colder waters, making it more difficult for these animals to find appropriate amount of food.
All the rescued animals are malnourished. Many suffer from injuries caused by entanglement in fishing nets and boat collisions, as well as ailments such as pneumonia, parasite infection, and toxic algae poisoning. Initially, to help the animals quickly gain strength, they are force-fed what the volunteers call a fish shake.
We take some ground up herring, we might add a little extra salmon oil and some water.
Each syringe is prepared for a specific animal and may contain medicines to treat their specific ailments. Healthier animals are fed whole fish. Throughout their stay at the center, veterinarians monitor their recovery. Once it's been determined that an animal is capable of surviving in the wild, the volunteers transport them to a release site near Point Reyes, where they are returned to their natural habitat.
People begin to care about sea lions, and then they care about the environment, and then they care about the ocean, and that helps them sort of think about, well, what is it that I'm doing that's making all these things worse?
It's estimated that 60% of the sea lions saved by the center survive in the wild, a tiny fraction of the 100,000 sea lion pups that have been lost over the past 3 years.
And the next story is from Italy, where Giovanni Sacchetto and little Dora have been combing the woods around Alba in northern Italy together for the last 9 years, hunting for the celebrated white truffles. Have a look.
She's not just man's best friend. For Giovanni Sacchetto, little Dora is worth her weight in gold. For 9 years, they've been combing the woods around Alba in northern Italy together, hunting for the celebrated white truffles. The hard-to-find fungi are so highly prized that they can sell for as much as €4,000 a kilo.
A truffle is a strange thing, and because it is strange, it's a lovely thing. You never know where you might find one. That's the truffle hunter's life. It's not a job, it's a passion.
And he's not alone. The Piedmont region is home to some 4,000 truffle hunters and even more dogs who have been trained to sniff them out.
A dog, it's something else. I'm not saying it's better than a wife, but for a truffle hunter, his dog is something indescribable.
Every year, tens of thousands of enthusiasts from all over the world descend on Alba for its white truffle fair.
Just the scent is something unique. The taste a bit less, but it's especially the smell, the structure. Personally, I like it best with something simple, just on some pasta or a risotto.
Top chefs are always looking for new ways to use the prized product.
It is such a pure product of nature that we chefs have to be at the service of the truffle, and not the other way round.
Italy's asked UNESCO to hold its truffle culture to its list of expressions of humanity's intangible heritage. And a funding campaign has been launched to raise €50,000 to help protect the truffle zones around Alba.
I must say, little Dora has a really interesting job. And you know, Satya, I always find it fascinating. Dogs with jobs. Their professions range all the way from helping the handicapped, helping the blind. You have guide dogs, you have rescue dogs who sort of can go into mountainous regions where, you know, human beings find it difficult to go. Even the dogs that we see with the bomb squads, the sniffer dogs. The dogs with jobs are amazing.
I can't agree more. And you know what? It's not just the dogs with jobs, even some stray dogs. You know, once you kind of get to know them and they get together. This one time I remember that incident where we used to take care of a bunch of street dogs, and some of my friends are very, very scared of dogs. And if it's stray dogs, they're even worse. So they used to come to our house very grudgingly, but then they fell in love with the dogs, eventually to the point that the dogs would walk them to the road, wait until they crossed the road, and then they would come back. They just fell in love with them.
How sweet. Well, dogs are really amazing.
That's right. Now, from the world of news, we move forward to the world of sports. And finally, a Nigerian footballer let the world know how crazy he really is about football. The guy actually balanced a football on his head while riding a bicycle for, get this, 103 kilometers, and he didn't drop it once. All this in an apparent bid to claim a Guinness record.
This one is a record created by me, and I'm happy that I have done my own side. Then it left for the Guinness World Record to ratify it and bring back results.
That fitness regime I like.
Okay, that's more of a balancing act, Satya. We'll talk a little bit about fitness in just a little bit. But for now, it seems like news of doping, cheats, bans and medals being stripped seems to pop up at regular intervals, doesn't it, when we talk about sports? But what are these flagged substances that enhance performance and are considered big no-nos in competitive arenas? Here's the dope on dope.
The World Anti-Doping Agency is at the forefront of the fight against drugs in sport. It sets out the ground rules and procedures, tests athletes for doping and regularly updates its list of prescribed substances. Specific drugs like anabolic steroids are banned at all times, while other substances are only prohibited during competition or for certain sports. For example, beta blockers are banned in archery and shooting because they help keep the heart rate low and hands steady. Blood doping is one of the most effective ways of illegally improving performance and endurance, and is particularly prolific in professional cycling. Certain techniques, taking the blood-boosting hormone EPO, synthetic oxygen carriers and blood transfusions can be used to boost levels of oxygen-carrying hemoglobin. Increasing red blood cell count means more oxygen reaches muscles, increasing stamina and performance. While EPO and synthetic oxygen carriers can be detected, some types of blood transfusion are harder to trace, for example when athletes infuse their own blood. Detection methods include measuring total hemoglobin mass or testing for plasticizers, which are byproducts of the container the blood was stored in. As doping becomes more sophisticated, the athlete biological passport is a key tool in trying to track down cheaters. Athletes are monitored throughout a season and certain markers are regularly measured. For example, heart rhythms, fat-to-weight ratios, blood and urine levels. Any irregular biological changes outside permissible limits will indicate the strong possibility that illegal substances are present in the athlete system. But even this program isn't perfect. Small, frequent use of EPO, testosterone or even insulin known as microdosing can circumvent biological passports.
Wow, that seems quite complicated.
Absolutely, it is a big problem. And guess what? It is also an important subject. these days, because the problem of doping has reared its ugly head once again. The International Olympic Committee has stripped 7 athletes from the 2012 Olympics of their medals. The IOC has held them responsible for banned substances allegedly for performance enhancement. Here is a report on that story.
The International Olympic Committee named 7 2012 London Olympic medalists who have been stripped of their medals that they won at the Games. The athletes are Moldova's Kristina Iovu, Russia's Natalia Zablotnaya, Belarus's Irina Kulesha, Armenia's Ripsime Krushodania, Russian Alexander Ivanov, Anatoly Karake, Russia's Yulia Zaripova, the London 2012 women's 3,000-meter steeplechase champion, has also been stripped of her gold medal. Use of performance-enhancing drugs is probably as old as the Olympic Games itself. But despite strict measures and constant checks, the problem refuses to go away. Many sportspersons, once famous, have been a part of this infamous roster of people who have resorted to doping. The list includes 1988, Ben Johnson stripped of 100 meters gold won in South Korea Olympic Games. 1994, Diane Modal becomes the first British female athlete to test positive. 2003, British sprinter Dwayne Chambers banned from Olympics for life. 2009, US cyclist Tyler Hamilton announces his retirement after testing positive. And 2012, Lance Armstrong stripped of his 7 Tour de France titles after doping allegations. Bureau Report, WION.
With this, it's time for a quick break, and right after the break, we bring you what's between the lines of newspapers this morning. You're with us on WION Breakfast.
Welcome back. You're watching WION Breakfast, and it's time now to pick up our newspapers as Satya and I read between the lines. So Satya, I want to begin today with the Times of India reporting a really nice piece of news for us in New Delhi. A leopard has been sighted in Delhi.
Oh, yay!
Yes, I can't remember the last time this happened. Delhi may be an urban jungle, it says, but amazingly, it still has space for wild predators. A leopard was caught on camera in the capital for the first time on Monday night, not too far away from the place where other spotted cats' pug marks were seen earlier. This is in the Yamuna Biodiversity Parks, and this is really good news, because they suspect that he may have become a resident animal, with the habitat here more conducive to the kind of habitats that leopards need.
That's really good to hear. It's very good to hear that Delhi is conducive to wildlife and they feel comfortable in Delhi.
Yeah.
That's a very heartwarming thought.
And you know, like, this always happens whenever one big predator like this decides to make Delhi his home, it will sort of have a ripple effect, and the food chain, etc., is going to kick in at some point of time, and an entire ecostructure will start thriving.
That's right.
Around it. So the ripple effect that happens every time some relocation like this happens with a wild animal, it's
builds
just
its own
very
ecosystem.
Good news. Yeah, it's good news. It's good news for us in Delhi. And I do also have another story that I wanted to talk about today. This is from the Indian Express. And it talks about the possible coming of the second green revolution.
Very nice.
The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has been helping the research of agricultural scientists in the University of Illinois when they suggested a bold approach to improve the food supply. Now, the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation is very focused on alleviating poverty, and world hunger is one of their main sort of action points. So these scientists are now going to be tinkering with photosynthesis, which, as we all know, is the chemical reaction that powers nearly everything on Earth, all life on Earth, because it gives the plant the power to create food and energy, which eventually gets supplied to us all along the way. So now, using genetic engineering techniques to alter photosynthesis, they can increase the productivity of the test plant by as much as 20%. That's a huge jump.
It is.
Huge jump. And if they can take this kind of technology from the test plants to actual food crops anytime in the near future and jump the productivity of food by 20%, that goes a long, long way in achieving some of the goals that we all have as the world community. One of the topmost ones being alleviating world hunger.
I agree. And also the developments that have been made in the food industry, especially with modified crops and genetically modified crops, and now photosynthesis altering the constitution of, and with organic foods coming into the play, I think we have a good future. We can look forward to a good, clean future.
Well, one can argue, of course, that this is, you're genetically modifying, etc., etc. But there is also this counter movement of going vegan, going organic, going completely au natural. So, yeah, I think it's a good combination, and well, this definitely has a bright future.
You know, any talk about food, about nutrition, all of that can only lead to, a nicer thought about a good future. And going forward, and on that thought, future is what it is for the teens, because they form our next generation. There's an interesting article I found in the DNA. This is by Aviva Mehta. Aviva talks about teens and toxic friendships, a survival guide.
Wow.
Yes, much as we are faced with challenges all over, and like we were talking about in one of the previous sessions on our breakfast show, that we all need counseling and mentoring at every stage of our lives.
Absolutely.
So this article, it talks about teens and the phenomenon of the toxic friendships, which says being a teenager can be crazy. We're always making choices for the moment and regretting them in the long term. Yeah, we have phases for everything: our clothes, our hair, our music, our boys, our girls, even our friends.
That's true.
That's true.
That's so true.
We've all had that one friend we secretly hate, and that's what you call a toxic friendship. Interesting. Did you ever think of any of your friendships in this manner? And this is a very, very common phenomenon these days, because I often hear young kids talking about their friendships in a certain way that always made me think, and here this article just nails it. It says these friendships, which are often mistaken for being best friendships, now that starts in a certain way and also ends in a certain way. It's important to understand how they start and end. They might just we've all had that one friend we secretly hate, and that's what you call a toxic friendship. They might just take jabs at you whenever you're in front of other people, or pressurizing you into making a terrible choice.
Really?
Yes.
My God. This is very, very scary, because when you're a teenager, really your friends are your entire world.
Absolutely.
Theirs are the numbers that you remember by heart. You're constantly talking to them. You spend like 8 or 10 hours of your day in school with them. And then, when you come back home, there's, I don't know, studying together, going for classes together.
Some of the things that makes you identify your so-called best friend is common habits.
Yes.
Yeah. Common interests.
Common interests, yes.
Yeah. And that's what mistakes young people into thinking, okay, he is my best friend or she is my best friend, not knowing. And the reason teenagers are almost always unable to cut these friendships out of their lives is because, Aviva says, they'd be worried about their social circle, and every teenager knows that isolation is the worst feeling.
That's true. Peer pressure to just remain friends with someone. Yeah. Wow. Also the feeling of guilt. I mean, I remember, being a teenager, one was always like, I don't know, there were so many feelings, but I do remember feeling guilty for, not wanting to be friends with someone who wanted to be friends with you.
Exactly. That is the phenomenon which they're describing as toxic friendships, and it's a survival guide,
being a teenager is tough.
It is very, very
tough. It's
tough.
really hard. But it never gets easy, does it, Satya? I mean, being a child is hard. I look at my son now. He's he's 1.5 years old, and it's tough being that age.
I agree.
You know, he's just running into things. He's constantly falling over his own feet. It's really hard being 1.5. And then I think, but you know, baby, it's never going to get easy for you. I mean, it's just. It's not ezy for me. I mean, I'm not 1.5 or a teenager, and I still find life hard.
That's what they call growing up, huh?
Well, on that note, I mean, we can go on, and we can bring you more and more exciting news from the newspapers as we continue to read between the lines. But I'd like to introduce another person into this equation, Christopher Daruwala, who has a really interesting view as he not only reads between the lines, but deconstructs the stories that we've been reporting 24/7.
Hello and welcome to The World Deconstructed. It's time to deconstruct again. An international survey found that 5 out of every 10 people would rather give up sex, chocolates and alcohol than go off the internet. Sad but true. But for India, nah. The Indian male is a different animal. We know how to prove the world wrong. Indians are able to strike a perfect balance when it comes to the internet and sex. Yeah, it's called internet porn. It's true. More than 70% of Indian men have admitted to watching porn. The others? Liars. In fact, the Indian male has got the deadly combination of sex, alcohol and chocolates absolutely right. 1 round of porn, 2 rounds of alcohol, followed by chocolates to get his girlfriend into the mood. Porn is to the internet what Donald Trump is to America. Addictive. You can't stop talking about it, and in the end, you feel cheated. This has been a mad week for India. While the rest of India was scrambling for new currency notes, standing in queues, one Indian is feeling cheated by the new notes. He's even filed a litigation to withdraw the new 2,000 rupee note because, yes, hold on, because this dude thinks that the numerals on the new note were not in line with the Indian Constitution, which means that all new notes need to be changed again. Who is this guy? Man, what's wrong with you? Have you applied for asylum in Switzerland? Because that's where you'll have to go when 1.2 billion Indians will come looking for you. Yes, this demonetization drive has been reported the world over. The New York Times, as usual, always gets their headlines and cover photographs just right. Yeah, I just love their headline. Indians rushing frantically to launder their black money. Of course, the ones in the image are billionaires in disguise. Hello, Vijay Mallya. Yeah, this demonetization is getting to the robbers too. 2 men on a bike snatched a man's wallet. When they found a 500 rupee note that was old, they returned the wallet and slapped the guy. What's the world coming to? I mean, they could have just gone to the bank and changed the money. And Trump, he's back in the news too. With Donald, you can never say he's had a bad hair day. There's a lot of hairy stuff out there on getting the Trump cut. And after you try that, you could probably have a no hair day, like me. There was a supermoon this month. The big ball of cheese made some of us go kind of crazy. Can't touch this. Can't touch this. Yeah, I bet you he had a long visit to the chiropractor the morning after. In Japan, children have started learning the art of balancing by driving unicycles. No helmets, no knee pads, nothing. India has been doing it for years. think we kid ourselves when we say that a dog is a man's best friend. I think it's more like a man is a dog's best friend. I just can't figure that one out. Who's smarter, the man or the dog? The dog, obviously. And that's a wrap on the World Deconstructed. Till tomorrow, keep deconstructing.
Well, of course, as you listen to Christopher, Satya and I hope that you do remember that all views expressed in this show are personal and have absolutely no intent to harm or to
hurt anybody
at all. But with that, we're going to go into a quick break and we'll see you on the other side of it.
Welcome back. You're with us on WION Breakfast. After all the news and sports stories, here is our favorite segment. Yes, it's our favorite segment now. Yay! It's the fitness segment.
I'm really, really happy to hear you say that today, Satya.
I wanted to please you, Charu.
I am very pleased indeed, because taking your day forward now, we bring you a fitness session where Vesna Jacob will be showcasing her mantra that will help you keep fit in a few quick steps.
Today exercises are going to really help you increase the mobility of your hips and shape up your legs, thighs and bottom, as well as work on your core and upper body. Imagine that you're sitting right in the middle of a large clock. Come on the knees and reposition your right leg on 12 o'clock. So we are just going to move the right foot from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So take it back and we're going up. 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. When you go to 12 o'clock, you can add a little bit of weight. Now we're going to go to 12 o'clock and to 3 o'clock. And dip in as much as your body allows you. 12 and 3, 12 and 3. Now we're going to take your right foot to the 10 o'clock and to 4 o'clock. And again, 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock, and last time 10 and 4, and change the legs. So left foot to 12 and back to 6. Come down if you need to use your hands to help out to make a smooth movement and transition. And one more time. And now we're going to 12 o'clock and to 9 o'clock, because we're in the middle of the clock. So 12 and 9, 12. And now, and we're going to 1 o'clock and 8 o'clock, 1 to 8, and last to 8. Now we're going to make it a little bit more challenging, and we're going to take and kick to 6 o'clock. So we're taking to 12 o'clock and kick 6. 12, kick 6, and one more time, and hold at 6, and you're just going to do 3 heights. Start with a high, middle, and low. Middle, high, middle, low, and middle, high, middle, low. Change the legs. We're going to do 12 o'clock left and kick 6. 12 and kick. And it's okay if you have to bounce a little bit to use your entire body, because body likes to move, so let it move. And stay at 6 and high, middle, low, middle, high, middle, low. Last time, middle, high, and middle, low, and relax.
Charu, tell me, these exercises are very, very important.
They are, because the exercises that Vesna showed today are all exercises that focus on the lower body. Now, obviously, we're human beings. We stand up on our feet, which means that the lower body, starting from the pelvis downwards, is taking the weight of your entire upper body, torso, and keeping you upright and erect. So keeping the lower body supple, keeping it fit, keeping it flexible, and keeping it strong, these are all very, very important things to remember as you are creating any fitness routine for yourself.
Got it. And I will keep that totally in mind as we slip into a very short break, but come right back because we got more for you when you come back to us on WION Breakfast. Welcome back. You're with us on WION Breakfast, and in this segment we will be talking about fashion, music, dance, social media and everything that lights up your day. It's party time in rural New South Wales. Around 1,500 people have come together for the annual Bachelor and Spinsters Ball. The event is in its 32nd year.
And despite the rise of dating apps like Tinder, it remains a popular part of bush culture for rural communities where youngsters go in search of a partner, meet old friends, or just have a really good time.
It's party time in rural New South Wales. Around 1,500 people have come together for the annual Bachelor and Spinsters Ball. The event is in its 32nd year. And despite the rise of dating apps like Tinder, it remains a popular part of bush culture for rural communities where youngsters go in search of a partner, meet old friends, or just have a good time.
I think it's just to sort of let your hair down sort of thing, I suppose. You know, people just come here and have a good time, you know, meet new people and, yeah, just really let their hair down, yeah.
Ahead of the ball, many partake in the local custom of key banging. It involves making a car backfire by turning it on and off and pumping the accelerator to add more fuel. The louder the bang, the better.
It's pretty loud, it's pretty good. I get flames every time I do it pretty much, so yeah. And the proposal, I get wedding proposals, like I get people ask me to marry them when I do this.
Alcohol is also a central part to the party atmosphere, with many revellers intent on knocking back the beers all night long.
So I'm going to keep drinking until about 8, until the ball opens. Then I'm going to get shit-faced even more.
We're going to have about 37 beers.
We're going to have more.
Word on the street is... It's the Wednesday, it's Sherwood. Oh, he's the best one. He's just come out of rehab.
After getting changed into an interpretation of formal attire, the partygoers head to the main event, the ball. While it's mostly fun and games, there are also risks associated with this level of partying.
There's a lot of excess drinking involved. You get the people who drink too much, they'll pass out, they could aspirate, so vomit into their lungs. People who drink too much could just do something silly.
The partygoers dance through till dawn or until they pass out. But whatever happens, there may be some relationships made the old-fashioned way.
Ah, the search for love.
And you know what? Love is everywhere, but the search is on.
Yes, always.
This summer's debate over the full-body burkini swimsuit has put modest Muslim clothing in the frame across Europe, including Turkey. But covering up doesn't mean crimping on style. Have a look at this report.
A focus on Islamic fashion. This summer's debate over the full-body burkini swimsuit has put modest Muslim clothing in the frame across Europe, including here in Turkey. But covering up doesn't mean crimping on style.
As far as I know, the modest fashion movement, like wear the hijabi, trying to look, stylish and everything, actually it's a form of way that we are telling people that we are also the same like you. We are same like you. We like fashion, and also we want to, we want to look pretty. We also want to dress properly. We don't want to be, excluded.
On the streets of Istanbul, Muslim fashionistas are spoiled for choice.
I like Turkey, and I'm coming without anything. Everything I buy it from here.
The burkini ban at a number of French beaches ignited a debate over what women have the right to wear. But at this Turkey-based online retailer, the controversy only helped boost sales of what they call fully closed swimsuits.
We experienced an overall increase in sales of 20%. In the Netherlands, the increase was 30%, and in France, between 15 and 20%.
But some conservative Muslim activists see fashion as a Western tool which is incompatible with Islam.
We are opposed for two reasons. Firstly, it's contrary to our identity. It's trying to turn us into an object of capitalism. Secondly, these clothes do not fit our Islamic way of covering up.
Turkey already leads the world's Muslim clothing market with an annual $39 billion in spending. The trend for modest fashion certainly won't be disappearing in a flash.
Well, I, for one, kind of like the way that the whole thing is draped. It's a nice outfit.
I like it too.
I like it a lot. But with that, we come to an end for this morning. Do connect with us via Twitter. Tweet to us at WION Breakfast. For now, I'm Charu Shankar.
I'm Satya Gandham, and you're watching WION Breakfast.